Tonight, in this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe television, France has started unveiling the hidden and the untold stories of France's repression on Cameroonians during the independence era. The French Ministry of Foreign Affairs made the announcement today. In this newscast, we tell you the circumstances that led to that decision that's going to be in the course of this newscast. Also ahead, we are also going to be talking about the general manager of the Cameroon Development Corporation that has indicated that the Anglophone crisis is a heavy burden on the company. According to the general manager, Franklin Ngoni Ikomenjie, the CDC cannot meet up to the demands of the various workers as a result of the situation in the two Anglophone regions of Cameroon. He's going to be speaking exclusively in the course of this newscast, plus millions lost in a fire disaster which took place in Daido this afternoon. We shall be right back with the details. Stay with us. Good evening to you, ladies and gentlemen. We thank you for joining us in this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe television. For over 60 years, many Cameroonians at home and abroad are still to get hold of some historical facts and France's repression during the pre- and post-colonial era. As announced by François Hollande, that was in 2015 when he visited the country, his successor, Emmanuel Macron, has started releasing some of the hidden and untold stories at the time that was the announcement, which is phase one of the declassification process, was made public by the French foreign minister, as we see in the following report.
Sur la question de l'histoire, j'y suis revenu.
François Hollande made the promise on July 2015 as he visited Cameroon. While responding to a question posed by Severin Chunko in a press conference, Emmanuel Macron's predecessor, François Hollande, said that France was ready to release archives dating back to the pre- and post-independence era and the atrocities committed by France on Cameroonians at the time.
C'est vrai qu'il y a eu des épisodes extrêmement tourmentés.
Truly, there were extremely tormenting and even tragic events. Since after independence, there were some repressions in the Sanaga, Maritime and the Bamileke, and as I declared everywhere else, we are ready for the opening of history books as well as our archives.
L'histoire puisse être ouverte et les archives aussi.
Varied testimonies from historians and political observers at the time put the death toll at over 1 million, and until the archives are fully disclosed, Cameroonians would not be able to have a record of what actually happened. On the website of the Foreign Affairs Ministry of France, it is revealed that close to 100 archives in relation to France's repression in Cameroon following its independence have been declassified. It also said that the documents in question were available at the Center for Diplomatic Archives of Courneuve for consultations. The released archives are surrounding the dark chapter of French colonization and the war for independence between 1957 and 1969. The Foreign Affairs Ministry added that the declassification process to unveil hidden historical happenings up to 1971 would end in 2019. This is coming more than 60 years after independence. And coming after the visit of the French President François Hollande, the former President of France, of course, who visited Cameroon, that was in July 2015. Now, the governor of Béarn has promised tough times ahead for individuals involved in the traffic and sale of franc CFA coins. He said that the Bank of Central Africa is working with member states to exterminate the network. Vomi Armstrong-Sander tells us more in the following report.
Mène les enquêtes avec les autorités des pays membres pour déterminer l'ampleur de ces phénomènes.
According to Abbas Mahamat Toli, governor of the Bank of Central African States, BIAC, his institution is working with member states to exterminate the exportation and sale of franc CFA coins in foreign countries. Abbas Mahamat Toli made these and several other declarations on the scarcity of franc CFA coins as he chaired a press conference granted by members of the Monetary Policy Committee of BEAC in Yaoundé. Apart from the problem of coin scarcity, the fourth session of the Monetary Policy Committee members of BEAC equally gave an opportunity for members to announce an economic growth rate of 1.5% within the CEMAC sub-region in 2018 as against 0.2% in 2017. An inflation rate of 1.7%, a swelling budgetary rate, and other factors which, according to experts, are promising signs that CEMAC will be better at the end of 2018. CEMAC experts also hope that there be change in the prices of oil, which should also be followed by financial and economic reforms from CEMAC member countries. BEAC has also decided to maintain interest rates on tender offers, increase interest rates on loans from 5.25% to 6%, and to increase fines for banks from 7.55% to 8.30%. The institution projects an economic growth rate of more than 3% for CEMAC in 2019.
Now we talk about business persons in Manjo, that is in Mongo division of the littoral region of Cameroun, that are equally been affected by the socio-political crisis in the northwest and the southwest regions of Cameroun. Activities are slowing down days to Christmas celebrations. They say that it is as a result of the Anglophone crisis. Manji Kangerwe tells us more in the following report.
Several hours to the Feast of Nativity, the Manjo market is still to catch the fever. Business persons believe they have wasted their time in buying Christmas materials. The Manjo market has all sorts of Christmas dresses displayed, but no buyers. At times, we used to go to the My 20 market in Tombel, but where are we today? I had asked my business colleagues that buying these dresses, where are we going to sell them? And they convinced me. I am regretting to have heard them. Apart from the dresses, those who deal with Christmas toys have similar complaints. I have all sorts of toys, nothing is moving and no money is entering. Many sellers are sleeping on a market day. It's like there is nothing happening. Owners of hairdressing salon are experiencing the same slump in activities. Most of them spend their time in sleeping. Nothing is moving, no money. My shop is well equipped, but no customers. So we spend the whole time sleeping. The slump in activities have been linked to the Anglophone and economic crisis Cameroon is experiencing. Manjo, however, is getting set for the Feast of Nativity.
And just to note as well that business persons in Manjo are equally complaining that their activities are gradually slowing down as a result of the current Anglophone crisis. In the second part of this newscast, or during the declarations of the CDC General Manager, we shall be hearing how the said company is on its knees. Now, the president of the Cameroon Football Federation, Fecafoot, has said that his mandate would be the one that would be able to reconcile football stakeholders and a participatory approach to revive the football governing body in the country. Seydou Mbombonjoya made a declaration in Yaoundé as he was being installed into his functions. Once more, Smajika Gabriel.
Just as he did on the eve of his election as the president of the Cameroon Football Federation, Fecafoot, Seydou Mbombonjoya says his term of office will be used to reconcile the big football family of Cameroon.
J'appelle à l'unité de la famille du football parce que nous avons le devoir de donner un avenir radieux à tous ces milliers de jeunes talentueux, filles et garçons qui ont fait du football leur rêve.
Very well aware of the hurdles and the poor management the football house has gone through, the new man in command hopes to bring changes into the football governing body of Cameroon.
Je place mon mandat sous le signe.
My mandate will be placed on changes, togetherness, good governance, and the respect of ethics.
Et le respect de l'éthique.
Seydou Bombonjoya, who is calling on a participatory approach in his new government, will be summoning a General Assembly meeting through which his plans of reawakening football in Cameroon will be announced. One of the key moments of the event was the signing and later exchange of booklets with Dieudonné Happy, president of the Normalization Committee of FECAFOOT, whose mandate came to an end officially on Tuesday, December 18, 2018.
En sa session du 14 décembre 2018.
It was a bitter pill to swallow for some traders here in the country's economic capital, Douala, precisely at the Deido neighborhood after their institutions or their business premises went into flames. That was this afternoon. We can see how local inhabitants were trying hard to put out the flames, and we can also see the vehicles of the firefighting brigade, people struggling to put out some valuable items, but it was practically difficult because enormous material damage was recorded. It was a beauty salon that was affected by the flames, as well as a nearby drinking spot as well. It should be noted that the owner of the said beauty salon has indicated that she opened it just barely 5 days ago. We can see how nearby residents were equally affected by the fire disaster which took place this afternoon. Enormous material damage was recorded. A curious crowd was equally present to put out the flames. Firefighters equally showed up at the scene of the incident. Up to now, the exact cause of the inferno remains a mystery. Now, CDC is crumbling as a result of the Anglophone crisis. Yesterday, we told you how dozens of workers in TICO actually went on strike over months of unpaid salaries. TICO is the center of CDC rubber factory, and all the estates, according to the general manager of the said company, have been shut down. As a result of the crisis in the two Anglophone regions of Cameroon, 14 units of the Cameroon Development Corporation, out of 14 units rather, only 5 are so far operational, and this, according to the company's general manager, are some of the reasons why the CDC is actually on its knees and unable to pay workers. Franklin Ngoni Komenjie, in the following exclusive interview, is going to be telling us how things might get worse if the crisis continues to deepen. He was speaking to Davidson Maimo. Take a listen.
The reality of CDC today is that out of 14 units, 11 plus 3 is 14, and 3 rubber factories, only 5 are operational. You would realize from what I've said that a question comes in. The TICO Rubber Central Rubber Factory is operating to process crop from where? Because all the estates around that are supposed to supply crop, that are supposed to feed TICO's rubber factory, are shut down because of security constraints. So it implies that that factory is not operating at full capacity. In the palm oil sector, we have 7 oil palm estates. Out of 7, only Debuncha and Bota are working partially, not fully. Out of palm oil mills, we have 3. Only 1 is working, Idinao. Mondoni is shut down, Ilwani is shut down. If we come to the banana sector, the one which is most severely hit, out of 5 estates, none is working. So we have a situation where since the months of May, between May and July, when the insecurity got to levels that prevent, that impair work on the estates. Between May and July, we have a situation where, at least to be conservative, at least 12,500 of our workers are directly unable to do the work for which they are supposed to earn their pay. If we look at it critically, we'll realize that even the 7,500, the balanced 7,500, are working below capacity. Because if we take an example, the Technical Services Department with more than 500 employees, their job is to go and provide engineering services on those estates when they are working normally. So we have a situation where those persons are supposed to be present, available for work, but where they are supposed to work, they cannot work because those areas are not operational for security reasons. And that is the situation for the other services. Even those that operate are operating far below capacity. It means that in reality, we cannot say that 7,500 persons, the balance 7,500 are fully operational, fully in employment. So we have that situation. Worth noting is that it's not just that people are not working. It is that the produce that is supposed to be, that is supposed to come from the plantations, is not there. We have a situation where in the palm oil sector, for example, by this time, if we're operating normally, we were supposed to have produced about 22,000 tons of palm oil. We have produced barely 11. If we take the rubber sector, we were supposed to have produced more than about 16,600 tons of rubber. We have produced barely 9. If we take the banana sector, by this time we are supposed to have produced about 105,000 tons of banana produced and exported. But by August, when the last shipment for banana took place, we are barely at 35,000 tons. A reflection of all the shortfall in our three main crop groups is that we have a shortfall in revenue of about 35 billion francs. That is what explains clearly why in CDC we cannot meet up with the demands that are there. We have a very, very big delay in the payment of salaries because we cannot generate revenue. We are owing suppliers millions because we cannot generate revenue. In short, all our activities are virtually brought to a standstill because for some months now, total revenue generation is negligible. It's negligible. We barely struggle to be able to ensure that we can treat water, because if we don't treat water, we'll get sick. To ensure that we can basically continue to run the hospitals, some. We must note that insecurity has made it impossible for some of our medical institutions to continue to operate. If we take the case of Mokonje, for example, we have a very, very worrisome situation because we are not only healthcare providers to the CDC population, but also to the neighboring population. Same thing applies to the Ilwani and Boa area, where we are equally not operational. So it is heavyweight. It's a big, big burden. In our type of activity that we do, which is agriculture, we must face a piece of reality. There could be an option of waiting until we have adequate security. We have satisfactory security, 100% satisfactory security before we resume our activities. But the reality in our type of activity is that in agriculture, if we are not present in the plantation, we are dying.
That is the General Manager of the Cameroun Development Corporation there, explaining in greater detail some of the problems affecting the company. He says that it is as a result of the socio-political crisis in the two Anglophone regions of Cameroon. Workers have not been able to go to work as a result of security threats. He was speaking exclusively to our Limbe-based correspondent, Davison Maimo. We, of course, will be coming back to some of his declarations in our subsequent newscast. But before we go, the president or the coordinator of the newly created disarmament committee was in the Southwest Regional Headquarters of Boya for the first time. Fai Yengo Francis was visiting the locality to take stock of the situation on the ground. It should be noted that he was appointed just barely a few days ago. Derek Jato tells us more from Boya.
Wednesday, December 19, 2018, the National Coordinator of the Disarmament, Demobilization and Reintegration Commission, Mr. Fayengo Francis, is on a maiden fact-finding mission in the Southwest region. He is here in Boya, the Southwest regional capital, to come in touch with the realities on the ground.
I came here to the region to have a picture, to have a real picture of the present situation. And this picture was given to me by the governor, His Excellency, the governor and his collaborators yesterday. What they have been doing, particularly what has to be done.
And in the presence of the Southwest Governor, Mr. Foju Bernard, the Commission Southwest Regional Coordinator took his national boss to Bostal Institute Boya, a rehabilitation and transformation center for delinquents. This center is under the Ministry of Social Affairs, and it was here that Governor Bernard Okalia Bilai briefed Mr. Fayengo Francis that this center is ready to accommodate over 100 persons, and some renovation works were seen going on in preparation. It is now no secret to the Southwest people that if Mr. Fayengo Francis and his commission succeed to disarm the Ambazonian Defense Forces, who are still in the bushes and have instead multiplied attacks even into the city centers recently, then the disarmed persons will be trained here and later integrate into the society.
At any moment, even today, we can need to use this center. And what I've seen is quite impressive. As a structure, I think it conforms to a lot of security details that we'd like to have. It is fenced, it is large, it is very large.
Calling on the population of the Southwest region to join forces with the Disarmament Commission for Peace, Mr. Fayengo Francis also promised to come back to Boya, adding that it is only Cameroonians that will solve their problem, the Anglophone crisis, not foreigners.
Thanks indeed, Derek Jatto, for that report there, bringing us to the end of this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe Television. Viewers, we thank you so much for joining us, wishing you a blessed stay in the company of our programs. Until we meet again, goodbye. This on to next.